Mr. Roeper is here. So
Yes, I am.
Let's talk about some of the movies that are coming out this weekend because let's just get right to the top one here.
Yes, sir.
Us. This is your first 4-star of the year, right?
Yes, it is. That is correct, Rokan. And this is the follow-up. It's not related story-wise, but it's the follow-up to Jordan Peele's monster surprise hit Get Out from a couple of years ago, for which he won the Best Screenplay Academy Award and made like $500 million, kind of came out of nowhere and really kind of, they call it elevated horror. To me, horror is already elevated because it's awesome. Horror, Philadelphia fans, that's a different thing from what you're used to. Horror. And so now here's the setup of this, guys, okay? Middle-class family, African-American family is on vacation in right outside Santa Cruz, California. Mother, father, teenage daughter, young son. The first night they're there, a family appears in the driveway, doesn't say a word, silently staring at them. They walk out into the driveway. It's them. It's their doppelgangers. Looks exactly like the mom, exactly like the dad, exactly like the daughter, exactly like the son, except for they're murderous zombie types.
Gee.
They're sort of like the dark, shadowy side of everybody. They're now targeting the innocent family who has no idea why this is happening. We had a little clip here where the family has just realized there's a family that looks just like them that wants them dead.
Okay, let's call the cops.
I did. They're 14 minutes away.
What? 14 minutes? Okay. Jason, give me the bat.
What bat?
The baseball bat, the bat. There's one in the corner.
Here.
Thank you.
Gabe.
All right, hold on. I got this. Let's try this again.
Gabe.
No. All right.
Gabe.
I got this.
Oh, my God.
Totally freaked out already.
That's Winston Duke, right?
Yes, he was in Black Panther.
Right.
A terrific actor. And he's the classic all-American dad, wants to protect his family, but, the kids are rolling their eyes at him, even as they're battling for their lives. Like, Dad!
You're embarrassing us.
And the mom is played by Lupita Nyong'o, who won the Academy Award a few years back for 12 Years a Slave. I believe she's going to get a Best Actress nomination. Here's the thing about this movie that's really cool, too. All of the actors here get to play two roles. Their normal selves, and then they're super dark. Yeah, and I'm saying zombies. They're not exactly zombies, but whatever they are, because they talk and they communicate. But like even the makeup and the look, you see Lupita Nyong'o acting against herself, and you truly believe it's two different actresses.
This is the thing about Jordan Peele that is amazing to me, is that what he's creating here, what he's writing here with Get Out and now this, is so next level.
Yes,
it's smart. It doesn't pander to the audience.
No.
It tries to take you on a philosophical journey. Both of these films are trying to do that.
Absolutely.
He's all of a sudden he is Rod Serling, right?
He really is, and he's doing the new Twilight Zone, the reboot of the Twilight Zone. It's a great comparison. You could see so much of Hitchcock, but then there's like the Spielberg kind of look to it, where everything looks beautiful at night, and the music almost sounds like Back to the Future. So you feel like, oh, this is going to be kind of a fun trip, and flashbacks to 1986. So there's all kinds of pop culture references, but there's also a lot of satire and social commentary about the American dream and then what the American nightmare is.
Ooh.
And this is also the first time and probably the only time we're going to see a reference to Hands Across America, the charity effort of 1986, remember?
Right.
When everyone was going to hold hands across America. Good reference to that. That's all I'm going to say. Really smart, really funny. I mean, you're allowed to laugh. It takes you about 15 minutes to be like, oh, okay, this is supposed to be funny too. But then nothing frightens me after 5,000 movies and 25 years of doing this. Kind of wasn't thrilled about turning all the lights off when I got home that night. Man, that hallway. Wait a minute. Oh, that's just the wind. That's just the shadow.
That says something.
Yeah.
And us.
You can't hear me.
Can we bring Lauren up here? Okay.
One thing that I really like about this movie, not that I've seen it, but the idea of seeing it, Jordan Peele has said that one of the things he thought while making this was how we are sometimes our own worst enemy, our own villains.
Yes.
And so, same with Get Out, it's very symbolic horror.
Absolutely true, Lauren. In fact, there are so many scenes. There are even some moments where we wonder, like, wait a minute, who are really the bad guys and who are the good guys here? And there's one great line, I'll say because it's been used in the trailer and stuff, where Lupita Nyong'o says to her supposedly evil, crazy, from underground, wants to have her killed person, she goes, "What are you?" And the response is, "Oh, we're Americans." which really has you go, whoa,
Haunting.
what is happening right now?
Well, us is a reference to U.S.
Us and,
as well.
and the U.S.
as
exactly.
much as us.
The
Yeah.
writing is just so good. It's so up there. That's why when people talk about elevated horror, I don't think you have to elevate it. It's just it's a great film. You don't have to say it's a great horror film because it's more than that.
Jordan Peele's comedy was always elevated.
Yes, yeah.
Key and Peele is one of the funniest shows on television in the last decade. It is, and because it's the sketch comedy, but it was so smart and daring simultaneously.
It was groundbreaking, like the first time The Simpsons were a cartoon short on Tracy Ullman's show, the first SNL skits or SCTV, where there was so much more going on there, and they were doing comedy that only they could have maybe gotten away with in certain cases.
For sure.
Would you say that it's better than Get Out? Would
I would
you compare
say
it to scarier? Or?
You thought Get Out was maybe the best picture of the year.
Yeah, I mean, so I would say they're equally good and equally different. If anything, this one might be even more of a straight scary ass movie. On top of all these ideas we're talking about, there are just those moments where you jump. And also, I'll say this: I saw this at a screening with the press and maybe 200 people. They get they flood it with people who got tickets early from Fandango or won a contest. Mm-hmm. It's one of the few times. Not one person ever got up during that movie to go to the bathroom to get a snack. It's 2 hours and 1 minute. Not one person got up. Almost any movie, look, a Dean Richards got to go to the bathroom once in a while halfway through a movie. A Michael Phillips, might want some popcorn. Or, somebody nobody got up. You were riveted.
Wow.
4 stars, as Ro mentioned, for Us. Opening this weekend, I think it's not a huge budget movie, but I think it'll make a quick $80 million at the box office, too. Big hit.
Right. Well, I mean, but it's not a Marvel.
No. But ratio wise, in terms of profit, it'll be at least as profitable. In terms
What was
of,
Captain Marvel? What was the budget on that? Do you know?
Captain Marvel was 220, maybe 230. It's already it's close to $1 billion worldwide. But by the time they get done, sifting everything through the one machine that goes to Brie Larson and Samuel L. Jackson and now to Disney and Marvel and that goes to Stan Lee, it's losing money. They'll tell you, the accountants will tell you right now.
Don't worry,
we're not there yet.
Don't worry.
T-shirts.
My agent has told me that, darling baby, sweetheart, Bubby, listen, we cannot pay. They said they cannot pay any money because they're going to lose money no matter what if you show up for work. And I was like, okay, I kind of get that. They're not lying. All right, we're going to talk about The Highwaymen.
Yes.
Which
can't wait to talk to you guys about this one.
Is a fascinating film. If you liked or loved or revered Bonnie and Clyde, which was one of the great films of the 1968, right?
67.
67. But it was one of the great films of that era from the 1960s and the 1970s. This turns it on its head in a really interesting way. We will talk about that on the other side. But first, let's check with Kim what is coming up at the bottom of the hour.
This week on Chicago's Best, crispy, savory, and oh so perfect. It should be its own food group. Chicago's Best Bacon, Sunday night at 10 on WGN-TV.
Tonight's broadcast for the Hawks take on the Flyers, brought to you by Geico. Visit them at geico.com or 800-947-AUTO. It's the Roeper Show with Anna Devlantis live from the United Center, and this is a big moment here. This is Lauren Lapka's coming out party at the United Center, and the Blackhawks have been very spectacularly nice to provide the show with a very special experience we'll be talking about tomorrow, and maybe there'll be some pictures on the social media, and there may be arrests later in the evening.
Could be some inappropriateness. So,
well, since you're involved, of course there will be.
Yes, exactly. Thank you very much.
Lauren already knows you.
She's been here a week.
She's figured
been here
a quick study.
Yes, got it. Yep. Sometimes Roeper and I have caused trouble. All right, Mr. Roeper is with us, and he just announced his first 4-star movie of the year. It's Jordan Peele's Us. Which is, the people who are walking away from it, a movie is something when the reviews are unanimous, and when people who have seen it, they're like, oh my God. There's certain films that just change filmmaking, and filmmakers who change filmmaking, and here's a guy who is changing filmmaking.
He's an exciting filmmaker, and I would also say this to the parents out there. If you bring your children, I will contact DCFS and have you separated from them at the end of the movie.
It's that kind of
Don't do it. Just because there's a 14-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy in it doesn't mean they should see it.
Right, they're
unless you have a really big bed, because they're all going to be sleeping with mommy and daddy for a long time after
if
this.
You went home and were having nightmares. That sounds like.
Now you're talking.
The no-no.
Now you're talking.
For the kiddies.
Let's talk about The Highwaymen.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Now this is really an interesting concept. Why don't you explain?
I'm so excited to talk to you guys about this movie, The Highwaymen. Now, a lot of people, as Ro mentioned, Bonnie and Clyde. they were already infamous, outlaws robbing the banks and all that stuff in the 30s. But then the Bonnie and Clyde movie, which was revolutionary, with Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway as Bonnie and Clyde, 1967. Really kind of changed cinema. So many filmmakers after that said it just gave them a different look because it was so, in some cases, very violent, but then it was also this fable that romanticized. I mean, Warren Beatty and Faye Dunaway were the two most beautiful people on the planet when they played Bonnie and Clyde. And people might remember the Texas lawman who was chasing them, Charlie Hamer in the movie, was played by Denver Pyle, who was a comic actor who went on to be on Dukes of Hazzard, and they played him in the movie. He was portrayed as this buffoon. He gets kidnapped by Bonnie and Clyde. They take pictures with him to embarrass him. They mock him. They humiliate him. In real life, Charlie Hamer, the Texas Ranger, was maybe the most decorated lawman of the 20th century. He was a legend in Texas. And his widow, when she saw the film, was so horrified, and the family was so horrified, they actually sued the studio for defamation of character and won, which almost never happens in movies, because you can get away with a lot in movies. That's how egregious the portrayal was of Frank Hamer. Now, we come to the Highwaymen. Tells the same story from the viewpoint of the Highwaymen, two retired Texas Rangers. And now, who's playing Hamer? Kevin Costner.
Oh, that changes everything.
Perfect.
Who better to play a fedora-wearing, shotgun-wielding 1930s lawman going after a famous criminal? Elliot Ness. He's back 30 years later. And Woody Harrelson.
Oh, my God, that's 30 years
Isn't it
ago
amazing? Yeah, it was 1987, I think. And what amazing casting. Kathy Bates, believe it or not, Texas had Ma Ferguson was the governor of Texas at the time in the 30s. So Kathy Bates plays the governor who okays the Texas Rangers. These two guys are long retired, but they say, let's get these guys out of retirement. So the entire story is told from the point of view of the Highwaymen. The only time we see Bonnie and Clyde in this movie is usually from behind or in long shot as they kill people. And in the movie, there's a great moment where one of the press says to Kathy Bates' character, well, aren't these guys like modern-day Robin Hoods? And she says, Robin Hood never shot a gas station attendant in the head for $4. These guys are not romantic criminals. They killed 9 police officers of different kind. Yeah. And this movie makes that very clear. It does not romanticize them. It maybe romanticizes the Highwaymen, but they should. Now, all that being said, it's also just a really good, solid film. 3.5 stars I'm giving it. It's great to see Costner and Harrelson playing these two guys, maybe 15 years past their prime as Texas Rangers, but back on the hunt. In the meantime, the FBI's got 1,000 men trying to track down these guys. But Hamer, played by Kevin Costner, is the guy that actually took down and actually killed Bonnie and Clyde, ambushed them, and got them.
It is fascinating because the original Bonnie and Clyde was a social commentary about in that counterculture revolution moment. We're taking on the man.
Right.
That's what that whole movie was about. They romanticized the villains.
Yes.
Because the law enforcement, were either idiots or thugs or whatever. That's the position that the filmmakers took when they made that movie. And this is a very different era. This is interesting. This is the second movie about Texas lawmen, right? Hell or High Water, right? Came out with Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, great film.
Which is sort of the same idea in the sense that it's about a guy taking out this arch criminal and trying to play that game of mental chess with them, and that's. And it also shows how tough law enforcement really, what their life is
what these
really
guys
like.
went through. And another fascinating thing about this film, guys, the original screenplay about the Highwaymen was going to star Paul Newman and Robert Redford in the early 2000s. They were going to play these two guys. And I think in part because they loved being in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, but that was another movie that completely romanticized the outlaws. So Paul Newman and Robert Redford were going to do one more movie together. They were going to play these former Texas Rangers. Paul Newman got sick. Redford decided to bow out, saying at the time he thought that if he were in it, it would be a Robert Redford movie and not a movie that would really, it wouldn't get us into the story because of his star power. I think he was right. I think Costner and Harrelson, maybe in some ways, it's a better choice to play.
What a great pairing too.
So good.
Woody Harrelson can do no wrong.
Oh, he's
as far as
amazing.
I'm concerned, as an actor.
Yeah, and Costner is the straight-laced guy who's having a nice, comfortable life in retirement, and Woody, of course, is the guy who's sleeping on the porch, after drinking too much, trying to prove he can still hit the target. Yeah. And he keeps shooting at this one sign, and there's one hole, and he goes, "I think all the other bullets went right through the same hole." Like, no, they didn't.
That is exactly why.
Really good, really good film.
All right, more with Richard Roeper, more from the pregame of the Blackhawks coming up. Stay right here. Blackhawks Flyers tonight, a must-win game. It's the Rokan Show with Anna DePlantis right here, 720 WGN. We are live at the United Center as we get ready for the Hawks and the Flyers, and it's all brought to you by Geico. Visit them at geico.com or 800-947-AUTO.
Nice.
Woo, Richard Roeper is here. Hey,
Hello.
I want to ask
Hi,
you about
Rich.
one more movie before
Sure.
we
Sure.
before we get out of here.
What do you want to ask me about?
All right, so
Gone with the Wind?
Hold on a second. Us, you said 4 stars.
4 stars.
For this weekend.
Yes.
Today is Thursday. This is the time to start thinking about what you're going to do for the weekend.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of wacky weather, good and bad all at the same
Go
time.
see that.
The Highwaymen, which is in theaters this weekend, but on
Correct.
Netflix next week, right?
That is correct, yeah. So you can catch it in theaters, but after a week you'll be able to get it on your Netflix. Apparently that's some sort of streaming service available for home viewers.
Oh.
Little
Check that
startup.
out.
Little startup.
Kevin Costner
Yeah.
and
so
this
good.
kid Woody Harrelson, who's done nothing with his career, they play the Texas Rangers who took down Bonnie and Clyde
Yeah.
in a much more true to the facts
Yes.
story about Bonnie and Clyde than the original 1967 movie.
Absolutely true.
Yes. And I want to ask you about this other one, this Mel Gibson Vince Vaughn film.
Yeah.
That is raising a lot of eyebrows about what it's about and how it gets to where it is, and especially since Mel Gibson
Yeah.
is in it.
And its name, too. I
Well,
think
first
is
of all,
also-
dragged across concrete. You got to give him credit for that. I mean, no one ever. What is this movie about? Well, people get dragged across concrete. So I'm glad when they went into this, they didn't have to think, has there ever been another dragged across concrete? There's been a lot of other movies with the same titles like that.
Right.
So this is from the same guy who did a movie called Cell Block 99, which is probably the most violent movie of the 2010s, which starred Vince Vaughn. Here's the setup of this movie. Mel Gibson. I know this is going to be hard for people to buy into this, but he plays a veteran cop who has problems with anger. He's bigoted. He's homophobic. He's got a bad temper. I don't know how Mel Gibson got into
What a
character to play
stretch.
this guy. And Vince Vaughn is his partner. So there you go. And he has a Ditka mustache in this movie. So they're two cops who get suspended after they use excessive force during arrests, and now they're going to participate. They're going to rob a drug dealer, and then everything goes sideways from there. So the idea of this movie is to show kind of the realities, kind of a heightened reality of today's society. These two cops speak that there's no filter there. There's bigoted comments, there's homophobic comments, there's sexist moments, and they don't apologize for it. I'm not saying he turns these guys into heroes, but he's saying like this is just the reality of it. And then there's maybe even worse guys. But this is a movie that is almost like it's 2.5 hours, by the way. It goes on forever. This filmmaker is kind of interesting because, like, when cops are on a stakeout, he'll show a whole stakeout, and then it turns out to be a false alarm, and they go home. Which you never get in a movie. It's kind of cool because it's realistic, but it's also kind of like you want to pull your fingernails out after a while. And it's basically trolling for responses. Like when a guy walks into a jewelry store to buy his girlfriend an engagement ring, the name of the jeweler is on the wall on the largest sign ever. And you can just imagine, of course, it's a Jewish jeweler, but I don't know anybody that has fine-bound jewelry like in the size of the old WGN Tower letters, on the wall there. Or when they're talking about a song, they'll be like, who is this, a man or a woman? No, it doesn't even matter anymore in today's society. It's just over and over, and you're supposed to kind of think about it, but after a while it just sort of becomes like, are we celebrating this in this movie, or are we condemning it? And it's kind of straddling the fence.
It sounds pretty real, though, too.
Yes, and great movies can be made about horrible people. It happens all the time. Martin
Right.
Scorsese's, most of his films. But there has to be something more to the story than just kind of showing that. And I think this film falls short in doing anything other than really pushing the envelope, saying, yeah, you're going to have to be really uncomfortable watching these two characters. Performances are really good. Mel
Why does Mel
Gibson.
Gibson want to make a movie like this?
Well, that's the thing.
because Mel Gibson is like that. He doesn't care.
So he can be himself?
Have you seen the pictures of him lately with the Letterman beard and the crazy stare and the latest wife? He doesn't care. So
Yeah.
when they say to Mel, listen, you're going to play a cop. So Vince Vaughn at one point is going to put something in his hair, just some product, and immediately Mel Gibson's like, what are you, gay? That's the kind of character he's playing, and you feel like he maybe didn't have to memorize the script.
So why does Vince Vaughn want to be in this movie?
That's
Well,
a good question.
Vince is another guy that will play, will go very, very dark, and it's definitely a rich, deeply layered script for these two guys to play. Vince's character's a racist, but he's got an African-American girlfriend. So, they're playing around with a lot of tropes like that. I just felt like at the end, it was more indulging in a lot of this stuff than really doing anything with it. It's not a terrible movie. It's certainly a provocative film. It's well acted. It's way over the top. I'm giving it 2 stars. I'm saying,
Yeah.
and by the way, super violent. dragged across concrete is not just an analogy here.
It's not the title. It's actually
There are
the theme.
people that get
Kind of know what you're getting
dragged
at.
across concrete. But yeah, every single scene, like even there's a scene at one point, two black criminals, in order to like not be detective, put on white face, thinking they'll pass in society, wearing white face.
Interesting. Oh, it's a commentary on
there's a
blackface.
lot of people that would not touch this movie.
Yeah.
This guy,
Well, they would.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, at least one
But
of them.
stay away
would.
from it. Go see The Highwaymen or watch it on Netflix or go get the wits scared out of you with us.
I can't wait for that.
Can I tell you about the Worldwide Toast to Harry Carey here for a second? Because
We
I
should
just
talk about
learned
that.
something about this.
Oh,
The next Wednesday.
Dragged across beer kegs.
Next Wednesday, it's the 21st annual Worldwide Toast to Harry Carey. We're going to be at Harry Carey's on Kinsey, the mothership, Kinsey and Dearborn, and it's always fun. It's always interesting. This is a Prohibition-era theme
okay.
from the 1920s, so we're going to be in costume, I fear. But as we last year was space was the theme, and I got to be an astronaut, and everybody's like, "Hey, you look cool as an astronaut." I'm not going to look cool.
Oh, no.
In this, I'm going to tell you that.
Are you
going to
be a flapper?
Pretty damn close. This is not going. This, if you want to come out and make merciless fun of me, this is your opportunity, America. It's going to happen right here. But Ryan Dempster's going to be there. Ron Kittle's going to be there. Ryan Dempster's hosting. It's going to be it's going to be a ton of fun. For details, go to wgnradio.com/events. Now, I've learned two things.
Okay.
Today
About the event.
about the event. First of all, the called home run bat from Babe Ruth will be there.
No.
Ooh.
Yes.
Wow.
That is one of the most expensive and interesting
Wow.
artifacts
amazing.
in the history of American sport.
1932, Charlie Root on the mound.
Right here at Wrigley Field.
Yes. I can't believe that. I got
Yeah.
chills.
Can Rich and I take it out to the street?
Yeah,
and
no
tip
big deal.
BP
Little
with
stick
it?
ball. Yeah, we'll use
I'm
the,
sure they'll allow that.
Use the
Grant's a
remnants of the
porter.
Bartman ball. I'll try to strike you out with it.
There you go.
That's going
That's
to be there.
amazing.
That's awesome.
Shoeless Joe Jackson diary is going to be
Wow.
Wow.
there. Yeah.
Wow.
And that had the phone numbers of all the girls.
Oh,
and the
geez.
phone numbers
From
were
every,
like
every city they stopped in.
23,
Yeah. They're
and
exactly.
62.
Should that be censored, do you think, before they put that out there?
You got to read these
Oh, my
Warren
God.
G. Harding.
Yeah.
You got to do
The
his
phone
little-
numbers.
We got to get a hold of that in
Yeah.
advance. It's sort of a
Right,
teaser for
right,
the
right,
upcoming
Yeah.
the book, the Harry Carey, the Toast to Harry Carey.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sheila in Detroit. We got a series coming up.
Don't you know me, Mary? It's Shoeless Joe on the phone.
Right? It's not exactly like The Natural, I'm going to guess. Right? I'm going to sort of guess that they're just showing up
Yeah.
and they're like, all right, are you? I don't know.
$5 next to the sign. Ooh, expensive.
So that's going to be there. And I don't know. I don't know if you've been watching this, the Harry Carey's Facebook page, but something really weird has developed. And this, and now Grant DePorter, as we all know, is a showman. He's the guy who's the purveyor there.
Yeah.
He's, he blew up the Bartman ball 20 something years ago, right? Or almost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He does things, right? That's kind of what his thing is.
Hugh Jackman played him in the movie a couple of years ago.
Right.
The Greatest
Exactly.
Showman.
Well, he's a
Exactly.
marketing master, too.
Yes, he is.
And a numbers guy, and he's got a lot going on there at that point.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks for saying that
And
about
so-
me.
Absolutely, sure.
When I saw this on Facebook, and now I'm making that part up, I thought to myself, this is like Grant being Grant, because that building was built in the early 1900s
Right.
at Kinsey and Dearborn.
Beautiful
Okay.
structure.
It
It
is.
was at one point. It was run by a mob family. Frank Nitti kept his office and apartment in that building at the very top because it overlooked the Cook County Court building, which is still there.
Yes.
At Hubbard and
Another
Dearborn.
gorgeous building.
Right.
Yeah.
And the whole point was that they would that Nitti wanted to have this corner office so he could look to see if snitches were going in and out of the courtroom.
Wow.
Ooh, what a history.
So there's like a whole thing to it.
Yeah.
And remember they found, about like 10 years ago, they found a secret room.
Yeah.
Which was, and this was, it's near the river, so they used to run liquor during Prohibition through this building. And there was a secret room they found at the basement, which of course went out to the docks of the river.
Amazing.
And before Marina City was there. And that's the whole thing. So this
Right.
was clearly a crazy history to this building. Grant has an also in the basement, which the basement of this is the creepiest thing. It should be in Us.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
it
gonna tell
really
you.
should be. Yeah,
Creepiest thing
Should
ever.
be on the Chicago Ghost Tour.
Oh, it is.
it
actually.
is. Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy. The stories that have gone on there.
Yeah.
Well, they found another. What apparently is a vault
Wow.
in the basement, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, Grant's making this up. That was my initial
was your
thought.
First thought.
Yes. So they found it's on the original plans. It was the vault.
Oh, wow.
It's all bricked in, but it's a brick false wall because he was able. And this is really modeled brick from like the early part of the 20th century.
Whoa.
At least halfway through the 20th century.
Okay.
I went there today to see this because he was like, "You're not going to believe it. You're going to have to come by and see this. You can't believe it."
No.
Because this was a storage room for a bunch of equipment that they just got rid of. So
okay.
then now that they've moved that equipment out, they saw this.
Okay.
Now it sounds like, and I thought, okay, I'm driving over there and like, okay, whatever. He's making this up and he's going to want me to sell this. I show up. He takes me down. Come on, let's go downstairs. I go down, and we're going through like this. It's like a labyrinth down there. It's crazy.
Okay.
And he takes me into this little room, and you can see clearly that this is super old. They didn't just do this. This is there. It's hollow inside.
Oh, wow.
Now, they know there is something in there.
Oh, no.
I don't know how much I can get into this here.
Okay. But they've sort of confirmed that there's something.
There is something in there. This is not like the missing vault.
Okay.
This isn't like the Geraldo
No.
Al Capone vault.
No.
Okay.
But
big reveal.
I just want to say that based on technology that they use to figure this out,
Yeah.
it's pinging back an item in there, and the item is creepy as hell. So now the question is, what are they going to do with it?
Oh.
And it's at least what they think it might be is creepy as hell.
Oh, geez.
So we're going to find out what it is at the toast? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I have no idea what they're going to. I'll have to follow this as he makes his decisions, because he's like, "Hey, don't tell anybody." And I'm like, "Wait, no, this is great. This is great." He says this to me. He's like, "Hey, you're sworn to secrecy, but I got a call from ABC News." And I'm like, "Oh, well, then how did ABC News know about it?" He goes, "Oh, well, it's on the Facebook page." And I'm like, "You're
Secrecy.
putting it on the Facebook page." But the part that is not on the Facebook page is the interesting part.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
And so there might be something to this. People might want to be around for it.
Okay.
All right, that's all I'm
That
gonna
is
say.
creepy as heck.
Oh, it is unbelievable.
Finally, OJ's
More
going to be
creep-
exonerated as the real killer.
I'm more creeped out than Rich is Us.
Oh, I think they're tied in.
I'm not going to be able to sleep tonight, for sure.
Hey, I called Jordan Peele and I asked him
But the rights.
if he'd like to do a movie about my restaurant.
Don't put it past Grant. Hey, he's made a lot of things happen.
Let me tell you something.
Wow.
He is a genius. I say that as I've known him almost my whole life. The guy is a genius, but he's a showman. And so sometimes some of the things are, they're theatrical as opposed to real. People, I'm telling you, what's happening here is real. And it's weird. And I'm not sure what to make of it after I saw it. So we'll find out. But anyway, in the meantime, next Wednesday
Is
we're
it
going to
Babe
be there for
Ruth's
this
balls to go along with the bat?
Maybe with
Babe
a
Ruth's
jar?
balls.
In a jar?
They don't have Babe Ruth's balls now. They don't. Although if Grant had them, if they were available, Grant would have purchased them.
This far.
No, this is on
That
loan.
is for sure.
The Babe Ruth called home run bat.
That's amazing.
Is
Yeah,
on
right.
loan, and it is. It's one of the most.
Where is it normally? Is that Cooperstown?
No, it's not even in Cooperstown.
It's a private.
It's
owner?
in a private collection.
Oh, you know what's going to happen, Kev? Grant will give us those surgeon's gloves. He really does. He gives you like gloves so you can hoist these things. I remember he's done that with some other things, which is actually a really good idea because then we don't smudge
Right,
it on.
and they'll have two big bodyguards standing next to you. And
But
you
we're
can't
so
do anything.
switching it with the bat. I'm going to have made.
We're taking BP out on the street, Rich. You can pitch to me.
I don't think people are going to be allowed to take it out and
probably
Take
not.
batting practice.
I don't think people
I
are allowed
wouldn't
to.
imagine.
But but it's going to be there. There's so much. He's bringing in a whole other sport because of Cub Sox.
Yeah.
We're giving away
Oh.
a really great Cub Sox experience, or as we like to say here, Sox Cubs
That's
experience.
exactly right.
And that's it. It's going to be. It's all going to be great. So
I'll be doing sports reports from behind the bar. Normally, I get kind of shoved away, and the guy pours me a beer, and I have the microphone in one hand, and I did sports.
Well, Frankie O, for those who don't
Frankie.
have not been to Harry Carey's, the Chicago Sun-Times vote with 600,000 votes. This was the best bartender in Chicago, Frankie O, who's been there for 25 years. So
He's the best. You got to come out and see this. I know people always listen to this and talk about it, but you got to experience it in person.
It is fun.
Kevin behind the bar. Lauren's going to be there. All the TV crews from around the country are on the bar. It's a whole event.
Awesome.
It's a whole event. And us.
Yes.